to put us on camera in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Urban Stages Artist Chats. Today we have the beautiful Caren Calder. It's Calder? Is that
Older.
Calder? Okay. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. Now, Caren works with us here at Urban Stages, but she's been working under the umbrella of the outreach programs through Alana Saltzman, who we interviewed previously. So, Caren, welcome, and tell us a little bit about what you do there and how you came to be at Urban Stages.
Well, honestly, I've been at Urban Stages for so long, I can't really go back to the starting point because it's
Wow.
been a few. I was talking with Frances the other day. She says, "Yeah, you were with Alana, you were the lady before her, you were the lady before her." Um, However, I've come to it, and and I'm mostly doing library workshops.
Great.
I've done library workshops through Urban Stages. I've also done some school residencies through Urban Stages. That was, quite some time ago.
Hmm.
Um, so it has evolved so that it's mostly library workshops, and I do them in partnership with my daughter, and she's my musician and dance helper, and we do the African dance and folk tales, and we've got this new program that we had to redefine because we originally called it Babies in Rhythm,
Hmm.
and then they started bringing in these little tiny infants,
Oh,
like
wow.
eight
So
months.
less than 1 year old.
Yes, and it's
Wow.
like, what am I supposed to do with these little people? So we had to bump it up and call it Toddlers in Rhythm.
Hmm.
I'd like you to at least be able to walk,
Yeah.
for the kinds of programs that I'm
Well, the
offering.
music programs I get, the Montessori school music programs I get because children, but if you need them to move, then I don't know how much it's
Yeah,
going to
well,
help a 0 to 6 month old.
and I kind of evolved. I kind of learned to understand that. It's like, why are these people bringing these tiny people, these little dumplings that can't even get up hardly, And then it was like, oh, okay, well, we play shakere, we play mbira, we play drums, you know. But except for the mbira, these can be kind of loud
Hmm.
instruments. It's like, I don't know if you want to be in the same room with me while I'm playing my shakere. So we've had to develop the program as we've offered it.
Hmm.
But now it's something where we do some music, we do some singing, we do some exercise, we get a chance to maybe can we stand up and do a little wash dance where we
Hmm.
walk around, walk to the village, walk to the river, and maybe a little funga, alapia, and then we
Tell me why you think it's important. I mean, I know why I think it's important, but why do you think it's important to keep dance, and keep this interaction going, especially during this pandemic period where we can't actually physically be in a room together?
if you want to stay sane,
Mm.
that's that. See, dance has always been my element for Caren. Do you want to stay sane and healthy? This is what you've got to do. I think it's very important because first of all, we all dance is a way of staying healthy.
Hmm.
Any exercise that you enjoy doing, which means then you will do it,
Right.
will help you to stay healthy. Because nobody's talking about preventative things to do to get through this.
And
Nobody's
this
talking
is also a mental health issue too, in terms of you get your body
about
involved, your mental health,
for sure.
endorphins, everything. I mean, it's just huge benefit.
And we already knew how dangerous it was to have children just sitting in front of a screen all
Right.
day. And now what are we all doing all day? If we're not on a screen speaking with somebody, we're reading something on the internet, or what is our relaxation? Go and watch television.
Or veg out
So
on the video game. Yeah.
yes, so we're rooted. So we've got to remember what are the things that make us healthy. You must eat good food, take your vitamins and your supplements, move. You've got to
Move.
stretch. You've got to stretch. And that's pretty much what I've been doing during this whole pandemic time.
Hmm.
I'm taking classes for myself. I'm offering two chair yoga classes because I also teach chair yoga, and I was
Hmm.
teaching a dance class for senior citizens. I was teaching a dance class until I became a senior citizen. Um, so
I
now
do
I'm
my chair exercises.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So so I was doing a dance class with them, and then I was doing a chair yoga class for my neighbors here. And so now I'm calling this class River to River because
Nice.
there were some folks way on the west side, and I'm here on the east side. So it's like, let's all just do
Hmm.
our exercises. Let's
Hmm.
do our stretching. And I
And
know
breathe.
how much I benefited from just getting in the habit, getting the routine of doing those regular exercises.
Hmm.
And I had my students telling me, Caren, I was able to hang out with my grandchildren all summer. We went to Disney World and I walked for 18 hours. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
okay. Or we went on tour. We went to the cathedrals in Europe and we walked up the steps and I was remembering those yoga breathing exercises and I wasn't going to get laid out here on the stairs.
Yeah.
So I know that they benefit and for children especially,
You know,
they
it's kind of
benefit.
ironic in a way that we're trying to get kids away from screens and playing video games and TV. But what I think is beautiful about the fact that we have to use screens now to make this connection is that movement can be done on screens so that you are reaching through their medium, through this new young person's medium
Yes,
of this is how we communicate and talk. But look what else we can do here. Look, we don't have to just sit here and go boop, boop, boop. So
exactly.
I really applaud you for keeping that alive and bringing that. What's your favorite group, an age group to work with because they're funny or they're crazy or they're wild? I mean, I imagine all these kids running all over the place. And are there parents with them on video when you're doing these classes?
Well, right now for the children's classes, I'm taping class
I see.
and sending it to the schools.
Cool.
So I had three sets of second graders that I was working with in Staten Island with another agency, and we were like almost halfway through our routine and what we were going to do, and then this hit. It was like, okay, all
Hmm.
right, so here's what we would have done had we started. So I made a tape for this one particular class so they could really finish up their routine if they wanted to. And
Hmm.
then the school said, well, let's make it more open so everybody in the school can take advantage of it. So
Right.
it's been helping me to grow a little bit in terms of, okay, so I don't necessarily need to teach a choreographed piece per session. Let's just do a few steps so that they can get used to moving and we
Hmm.
can have fun and we can do it with the music and then we can cool down and they can have their at least half hour worth of time to move and to do something and have fun and enjoy
Are
it.
you still incorporating the heritage literature and stories with these videos? Are you incorporating them still? It must be a harder thing to do if you're doing dance or you're being hired to actually just do a movement thing versus what you normally would have done for urban in the past with your regular programs. How have you adapted this?
Well, now with urban stages, I've been able to do videos that the libraries have asked for.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been pretty much able to keep our regular program, not our tiny tot program, but the programs where we do African dance and folktale, where I'll introduce the shakere, and then we'll talk about a song, and then we'll do a little warm up, and then we'll do some movement and whatnot. Um, we've got another one of those we get to videotape for July for I think the Brooklyn Public Library,
Mm-hmm.
and this time they've requested a little bit more emphasis on the story.
Oh,
The
nice. Yeah.
myths and fairy tales, and so I've got some story ideas I've got to figure out and to decide what I want to do for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
One of my favorite classes ever. I was a dancer for 20 years, believe it or not. I have a picture of me as a ballerina up on my wall behind me.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. I used to love to dance. I actually started before I became a singer and doing all this stuff. I was a dancer, but my favorite class. I used to come in from Waterbury, Connecticut, to do an Alvin Ailey class, and they had the Afro rhythm class is what they called it, and it was just drums, and we would do like all these great, these great
Yeah.
these great movements that were outside of being a ballerina. That was very fluid and lovely, and whatever. And I was so self-conscious when I first started, but then I found my little inner African rhythm girl. I understand that your daughter Crystal, you said she's the musician. Does she play specific instruments, and how does that work? Is she live in the room with you, and now on tape? How are you able to do that remotely with her?
Well, the last thing that we did, it's funny. We did a program that we did on tape. She came over,
Hmm.
and she usually plays. Okay, we both play the bottom drums, the bass drums that feed the djembe orchestra.
Hmm.
So we take the smallest one, the kinkani, and she'll play that. I'll play shakere, And then when I'm doing like a mirror dance or telling a story, she'll play the mbira or the kalimba. And usually we play that, we're in the same room together. When we did it for the first time for urban stages, we had done our part and now we're doing a slower part. I hear a knock on the door, and my neighbors have complained to our
Oh dear.
security. They're making too much noise upstairs. I'm like, oh gosh, okay, all right. I need to call them in advance, or we need to have the drum on the floor. So the next time, Crystal was doing something like that with claves, just to
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
give us some rhythm that's not going to go through the floor and
Well,
annoy
that's
my.
the beauty of rhythm instruments. You can kind of make a rhythm with anything. It doesn't have to be a particular drum or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing a little clip for a church, and I have my own home, but my office faces the street here in Brooklyn, and there's a motorcycle uh, repair shop right next door to me. So I'm singing this blues song, and I'm singing, and then afterwards I heard the guys on the motorcycle go room room and go and scream something up to me. So I had it on tape for this little blues song that I did. It was like I couldn't have choreographed it better, But that's the art of live entertainment. Or you're doing a sincere ballad, and a siren goes by. So
Right. You're doing things, and then you got to knock on the door, and it's like, okay, boys and girls. So we're
you become Mr. Rogers. Let's who we see at the door.
exactly,
Oh, that,
you know,
oh
but
my goodness.
but it's
In terms of what do you think, or how are you personally, as a dancer, as someone who moves a lot, aside from teaching these classes, how are you keeping your own art and your own sanity during this time?
I'm getting classes for me. It's
Good girl.
wonderful. The woman, I was taking Pilates classes with Diane Harvey. We used to dance together in Forces of Nature. And while I was taking classes once a week with her, she's now teaching 3 times a week
Hmm.
from Zoom. And it's like, yes, we're going to get this core together. When this thing is over, I'm going to be in shape. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm doing her Pilates class 3 times a week. I'm teaching my chair yoga class for my seniors twice a week. Um, Esther Grant is now teaching an African dance class online. I had the chance of taking one of my dear friends who was teaching Bikram yoga. She's in Kenya, and she did a Zoom live class, and I took her class. I hadn't taken Bikram in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten tired of how much time it just takes to get your body temperature back
Right.
and get out of the room. So I took that class, and I did really well because I'd been doing all this other stuff. I was so exhausted. I woke up, took the class, and went back to bed for like 3 hours.
That's my girl. It's
But
funny.
I'm working, I'm doing it.
When we're done with this interview, I would really like for you to maybe send me a clip of one of your classes with the kids that you have for the library. Because what I'll do is after the interview, I'll just give a link so that our viewers today can actually see what it is you actually do online with the libraries and for the children, and then maybe we can get more people to tune in, or direct them more towards urban stages. Have you done other things, like as a performer? Have you performed for us at Urban Stages? Have you put on a dance program or something like that? Or
I'm not a straight performance that I would have done.
mm-hmm,
I ended up doing a performance workshop at the Urban Stages Theater.
mm-hmm.
Uh, when one little girl, it was like right as this closed downs were about to happen, right before they had. Um, we had a father bringing his little girl, and Crystal and I were on stage, and they were the only audience. And so we did our whole program on stage and
Oh,
invited her up, and she got a chance to play the drum and so stuff like that. But we haven't. I don't think I've done a formal performance because I dance and drum, and I'm with a singing group also, and
mm-hmm.
or women's percussion group rather, Alakande, and with Women of the Calabash. So we do all sorts of
Mm-hmm.
things, but I haven't really done anything through Urban
Well, we're
Stages.
going to have to correct that. I'm involved with Urban Stages Winter Rhythms program, which is a big variety show done over, like, it's 100 artists over 20 performances over 20 days, and it's I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's a special thing that we do as a fundraiser. We're not sure how we're doing it this year. We have to see what the social distancing rules are. But in one of the variety shows, I had actually um, recommended to Alana that maybe she and I can work together with some of her very, very talented people like yourself to do a number, or to show what these outreach programs are doing, but make a show out of it. So I would love to have you be a part of that. That would be so great. We'll maybe try to make that happen,
Okay,
depending again on what's going on at the end of the year.
well, that's very true. I think that the closest thing to a show was something that Crystal and I did for one of their galas. They had a gala at the Boathouse
Hmm.
in Central
In
Park.
Central Park, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And I remember Crystal and I performed for that, between music and me doing a solo dance, with her accompaniment and then trying to encourage people to join us and to
Mhm. How
have
are
some
you
fun.
and Crystal doing throughout this? I mean, it must be hard not to see each other often, but
Yeah, we get together and do our shopping trips.
good.
We do the whole food thing, or we haven't been able to do a Costco event because I'm not taking my car to Costco because
Right.
I live in a place where you have a parking space,
You keep it.
leave it.
Yeah, us
You,
too.
you will
Yeah.
leave it because I'm not too far from Harlem Hospital, so they're always buzzing around trying to steal parking spaces from folks who live here. I mean, not
Yeah.
that they belong here, but it's difficult to park.
Yeah.
So whatever I have to do, I'm doing by bus right now. So, but we see each other on occasion, and she's not that far from me,
Good.
so we can connect.
Good.
But
So I'm asking everybody at the end of every interview to give me a piece of mentor advice. Did you ever get a piece of advice from either a mentor about your dancing, about yourself personally, about your career? What was something that was said to you that kind of changed your life in terms of setting you on a different path or something?
the biggest thing that I can think of in terms of mentoring was at the very beginning, before I knew that dance was something that I could pursue. I was in college. I had changed my major twice. Meanwhile, I was in the dance club. And the woman in charge of the dance club, and she was fabulous. She brought up, this was in Cortland, New York, and
Hmm.
she would bring up dancers from New York, JoJo Smith and Billy Wilson and Mateo's Indo-American Dance Company. So we had I think, John Leon Destiny, I think they brought up. So we had a various grouping of people to learn from. And she came to me, she says, look, Caren, you've changed your major twice. You obviously like dance. If you like dance, why don't you transfer to Brockport? You can major in dance. I was like, people major in dance? What?
What?
So, I mean, I had only grown up in New York, but I mean, my family was like teachers and nurses and the idea of going into,
Hmm.
I didn't go to music and art or dance. That was totally foreign to me. But that's where I started really blossoming into who I always loved dance.
Hmm.
I mean, I was one of the kids that, in high school, I was at every party from the time the music went on until it stopped.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize that I could pursue that. And I guess in a way, I would say, or the advice would be to find something that you really love and pursue that and make that work for you because I was in shock
Right.
that people were actually doing that.
She
And I
literally changed your life in
it
terms
changed
of
my
your
life.
course of what your life became. Wow,
Yeah,
that's really profound. That's really
yeah.
profound.
So
I
I
always
get
say follow your passion, and if you can find your passion and you can find a way to make money or make a living, not necessarily money for the sake of making money, but to make your living
yeah,
following your passion, that's the best possible circumstance in the world, for
yeah.
anyone.
So I must give it to
Yay.
Ann Zampo because she was in charge of the dance club and she got me on the direction. And then I happened to go to Brockport where who was there? Garth Fagan. And that was the first dance. I was in his first dance company, Garth Fagan of the Lion King. So
Wow.
I started off with some really heavy folks and went from there to Bill T. Jones and then and Lois Welk and then from there to Chuck Davis and
But it
uh,
all started with that one lady directing you.
that's
Wow.
right.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a delight. I've been really loving getting to know my other Urban Stages brethren. We're all part of this big umbrella and this big family. And I came up with this idea to get to know each other and to figure out a way to get through this all together. So you're a fascinating woman, and it's been great chatting with you. I'm going to end the conversation by saying to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you like what you see, go figure out and go watch a couple other of these interviews and learn more about some of the wonderful people who are working here at Urban Stages. Thanks for joining us.